what are the strategies? Final presentation, final 4 or 5 slides. What are the strategies for dealing with cross-cultural issues? So I have some case studies here. When I'm talking to you, I'll be looking at the case study and talking to you. I don't want to bore you with the case study. It's just a gist of the case study. Okay. So now cultural understanding and create. This is one case study I'm going to talk about. So in this case study, the situation. So like this, I'm not just a sample slide. Okay, just a sample slide to describe the different situations that cultural two people from different cultures can get into. That's the meaning of a case study. So in this case study, the situation is it's a large hospital in the US. There is a Uruguayan doctor, there is a Filipino nurse, and there is a procedure to treat a patient using a machine. That means once a machine is admitted to the intensive care, once a patient is admitted to the intensive care, a machine is attached, and there's a way to handle the machine and report and all that. So what happens? What went wrong? So what went wrong before that? Yeah. So what went wrong is the Uruguayan doctor, he comes from a culture of equal. And the Filipino nurse comes from a culture of unequal. So the Uruguayan doctor gives some instructions and goes away. The Filipino nurse, but there's something happening every day in the patients there's always a last minute rush to save a patient. There are lots of emergencies. And this Uruguayan doctor is very upset. So he goes and asks the Filipino nurse, he's saying, I told you how to handle this machine. Why didn't you do it that way? Why is all these emergency cases coming up? The Filipino nurse doesn't say anything. And then someone else tells this Uruguayan doctor, he says, Doctor, what you're asking is correct. There are some mistakes that the Filipino nurse is making. Then he says, then if she's making a mistake, why can't she say she cannot understand me? And that becomes the beauty, right? She will not tell the Uruguayan doctor, I don't understand you, because in her culture, you're not supposed to go against an elderly or a more educated person. So you will not argue. You'll keep quiet. Even if you don't understand, you'll keep quiet. So what went wrong? What went wrong was the Uruguayan doctor did not understand that the Filipino nurse came from a culture where she acknowledged that the doctor was more equal to her. And therefore, that's what went wrong. So what is the interpretation? This is the interpretation is what I just said, that one culture which is equal clashes with another culture that is unequal. So what is the solution? What is the solution according to you? The synergistic solution. The solution is, anyone guessing? Solution is that the Uruguayan doctor tells the Filipino nurse saying it's okay for you to ask for doubts. And the Filipino nurse tells the Uruguayan doctor, is it okay if I ask you some doubts? But I don't want to insult you. I don't want to, disrespect you. I'm just asking you some doubts because I don't understand certain things that you're saying. And if both of them can work this out together, that is a synergistic solution. So therefore, I'm going to show you a graph. Look at this. Right. So therefore, when you're looking at strategies for cultural creativity, when you are looking at strategies, one graph says their culture's way, and here it says my culture's way. So when I don't give up my culture, when I say no, this is my culture, I must do this, you become cultural dominance happens. When I give up too much to the other culture, cultural accommodation happens. When I neither give up nor given too much, and I neither give up my own culture, fully my own culture, nor completely agree with the other culture, cultural compromise happens. When I don't talk about my culture and I don't talk about other people's culture, cultural avoidance happens. So let's just look at one example for each of them. Cultural avoidance. What happens? So therefore, in one of the countries, an American company had a branch in some other country, and normally the American rules were that they will pay insurance only to the wife of the employee. That was the rule. But in that country, they were very collective and they said, no, no, not only wife, I want insurance for my children also. And so they brought in they demanded insurance, not only, so whenever the insurance happened, they also filed a claim for their children. Now the American company could have said, no, 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 no. According to us, only wife can get insurance. So what did they do? They just avoided that. They didn't really bother about it. They just passed the bill because they avoided even asking any questions. So that is an example of cultural avoidance. Let me see if I can get the laser for you. Yeah, cultural avoidance. This is the example. Remember, American company, dental insurance. Insurance, health insurance. And then what happens? Cultural dominance. I have a case study for cultural dominance. So, cultural dominance where you say, I will not give up my culture. Whatever happens, this is my culture. I will not give it up. What could be an example for that? One of the case studies is that, again, an American company. I don't know why most of the examples, because I think I read the American books. So only a US company comes to some other country, and in that country, this counterpart of the partner comes and gives a small gift to the American partner. The American partner says, no, I cannot accept the gift because accepting gifts is not acceptable in our company. It's like a bribe. So this fellow says, no, it's not a bribe. It's just one welcoming you gift, that's all. He says, no, I will not accept it. And he doesn't accept the gift. What is an example of cultural dominance? Where you say, this is my culture and I will not budge. Cultural dominance. So what have you learned? Cultural synergy, the Uruguayan doctor, cultural avoidance, the health insurance, cultural dominance, which is the case study about the gift, and then you have cultural accommodation. Cultural accommodation is when you accommodate the other person, right? When you don't bother too much about the other culture, about your own culture. When you say, for instance, there is this again American person who goes to Japan. In Japan, just like India, they're not task oriented. In the first instance, they are very relationship oriented. So for 2 weeks, this person is only relating to the Japanese, playing golf with them, going to restaurants, having lunch and all that. And even though his boss keep on asking him, what the hell, why have you not, signed the contract and all that? He says, no, I'm building a relationship according to them, according to this culture. It's important that we have to build a relationship. And therefore, they start doing that. So let's just go through the slide so that we don't miss out on any of that. I just want you to be very, very, I want you to understand this because this is the crux of cross-culture, right? It's very good learning about cross-culture, ethnocentrism and all that, but how do you manage in other cultures? So what are we learning? We're learning cultural avoidance. You saw the case study. We're learning cultural dominance. We saw the case study. You're learning a cultural accommodation. What is cultural accommodation? Cultural accommodation is a very nice case study where there is this businessman from the West who goes to Japan for finalizing a contract. But in Japan, just like India, they're very, very relationship oriented. So for the first 2 weeks almost, they're only playing golf, having dinner, going to different places and building a relationship. Because for the Japanese, it's very important to build a relationship than go straight to the task. So even though this person is from a culture where, it's very, very task oriented, he accommodates, he doesn't insist, no, we must sign the contract tomorrow itself, right? He doesn't mind accommodating the other culture. He doesn't mind, adjusting with the other culture, which is called cultural accommodation. And then you have cultural compromise, which is to say that let us meet midway. So let's assume a conference, a meeting between the French and the Russians, or a meeting between the Italians and the Mexicans. What they do, they say, let us, for the first 2 months, let us have all the meetings in Mexico. For the next 2 months, let us have the meetings in Italy. So that is cultural compromise. So what have we learned? We have learned cultural synergy. We learned in the beginning itself, right? Cultural synergy we learned right in the beginning with the Uruguayan doctor. So cultural dominance, cultural compromise, cultural synergy, cultural accommodation, cultural avoidance are strategies for getting along with other cultures. And finally, I'm going to introduce some books to you that you can learn, which is one book is called The Cultures and Organizations by Trompinas. Oh, by the way, Trompinas is the one who made that example of did the pedestrian die, right? And there's also the name of the book is called Riding the Waves of Cultures. Or Cultures and Organizations is a book by Hofstede, Geert Hofstede. You can see the name over there, Geert Hofstede. And Erin Meyer has written a fantastic book called The Culture Map. And you must get the culture map. You can actually download a particular a particular section in culture map where, if let's assume you're going to Argentina tomorrow, you can actually go to Argentina and click on Argentina. It'll tell you and you say, suppose you are from India, and you say, so it'll ask you, where are you from? You'll say, I'm from India. And where are you going? Which culture are you going to? Argentina. And then it'll tell you what are the differences between Indian culture and Argentinian culture. It's a fantastic tool for you to understand other cultures. So in summary, I want to once again reiterate that what we have touched is only the tip of the iceberg as far as cross culture is concerned. We thought a lot about including cross culture before we said we need to include. We said, when else will you get this opportunity? Tell me. Because it's not very often that you will read about cross culture. Once you get into an organization, you'll be working there for a long time. Only when you meet people from other cultures will you think of this. And India, like we said before, is a fantastic place for us to start looking at cross culture, because the whole of India is a cross-cultural masterpiece, right? And look at this as an opportunity to learn. I know it's been 1.5 hours of lectures and all that, but each of these lectures, like I said, are only concepts. Ask yourself which is the most interesting for you. Actually, what you should do is that notebook that I hope you have started to finish. That notebook you should start now with your own observations. Keep that notebook for the rest of your life. Keep that notebook so that you keep jotting down all your thoughts on culture. Read about culture. Buy these books. Read about culture. Google culture. And make cross-cultural understanding a part of your repertoire, right? So thank you very much. I hope that all of you have enjoyed listening to this lecture as much as I have enjoyed talking to you. Thank you. All the best. And I hope every one of you achieves a leadership position where you are able to understand every culture and become a very inspiring leader. Thank you.